Welcome to our podcast series, From Paper to Offer, where we focus on workforce development and how individuals today position themselves for information technology careers. Today's topic is on why industry certification is needed in the workforce, specifically the Amazon Web Services certification. I'm the founder and executive director of We Connect the Dots, a not-for-profit organization, and CEO of Nebula Academy, a professional development-focused organization. We value how those that seek to gain certification and advancing their careers are really focused on not just getting a degree or an education, but want to add value to differentiate themselves through certifications. Certifications allow you to demonstrate competency. And so we're excited today to have a conversation with a recent AWS certified college student, Dolica, about what inspired her to get certified. So Dolica is an Indian American who is currently working for Gannett, a US Today network, as a software developer engineer. Dolica is an activist for the women in tech community, which I love, an enthusiast for cloud technology. Currently, she is a voluntary teacher, computer science. She teaches computer science courses for kids of age 6 to 14 at a Hindu temple in Richmond. Since the past 3 years, she's been doing that, which I love that because of the connection. We'll talk more about that with We Connect the Dots and the work we do there. So super excited. So Dolica is a seasonal speaker, and she recently spoke at a keynote session at an Amazon conference in Seattle, Washington, where she shared her journey, spoke about the importance and future of cloud technologies and empowered women in tech. Dolica believes products should be available to customers within an eye blink, and that's only possible with the help of cloud technologies, as cloud is the future for success. Dolica is currently a senior at George Mason University, pursuing her Bachelor's of Science in Information Technology. In addition, she is also the president of the Association of Engineers at GMU. Wow, that's an impressive resume, and she hasn't even gotten out of college yet. So super, super excited. I love it when I get a chance to talk to students like you, Dolica. So welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Lori. That was such a warm welcome. I'm really grateful to speak with you today.
Yeah, I'm super excited to speak with you too. Well, this is a new project we've undertaken. We just got established here in Syosset, New York in our new Nebula studio. And it is really, the goal of the studio is to allow students to come in and use this facility and to get practicing and get building competencies, these new digital communication skills, which is so important. And so what we use it for is we use it to do our own podcast series for education purposes. And then we also use it as a diversified way to raise revenue for our not-for-profit. So it's just a win-win for us on every aspect. And this allows us to really make sure the facility is getting used well. So we're excited to have this whole conversation with you. And anything else you want to share about your background that I didn't share?
I think you've touched everything.
Okay, fantastic. First of all, your article on Medium, I loved it. That article, Can Anyone Become an AWS Certified? It was hilarious, witty and inspiring. For those who haven't checked it out, we will be linking it down on our podcast to this. We'll share that in the blog so that everybody else can see it or can read it. But you can explain it. Can you explain a little bit about the article and about your journey in getting certified?
Absolutely. So when I started my journey, I was 19 or 20, I believe, and now I'm 21, so that was roughly like a year ago. So at that time, a couple months before I decided to pursue the certification, I went to an event on campus. It was over the summer, and I thought no one would be there, and I should probably go just so I can stand out from the crowd, because I've always been inspired by my parents, who have always told me to be unique in every aspect. And so I decided to go to the career event. It was just a professional development core session where, students are given an opportunity to interact with employers and learn professionalism and whatnot. So there I met an industry professional from Capital One. I've learned so much, and I think that time I had no clue where I wanted to head in life. I knew I wanted to do something different. I knew I wanted to pursue a field that is, that's the future of tomorrow, but I didn't know what to do because, I didn't have a path. And I think that industry professional definitely formed helped me find my direction in life. Introduced me to, you know, why don't he basically said, why don't you look into cloud courses? There's this thing called AWS, and it's the upcoming, you know, hot topic right now. And at that time, I think from what my research said, you had to have at least 3 to 4 years of experience in the cloud to be able to pass the certification. So that intimidated me, but I felt like, you know, there has to be a way that, you know, that even the student could do it. And I'm sure everything can be done with hard work. I was like, okay, you know what, I'll take this as a challenge. And if I do get it, when I apply for jobs, I will stand out from all my peers, and maybe my resume will be picked over everyone else's. So, and especially coming, you know, being a minority, it's really difficult to, you know, make sure your resume stands out. And I think, and it's like a double minority, you know, women in STEM, women in tech, and as well as, you know, coming from India. So I think I definitely took that up as a challenge. At that point, there were not many, you know, direct resources that I could, one, afford, and also, you know, time. So I think what I did was I bought the book, the AWS book, the Solutions Architect book. And on top of that, I just watched some videos on YouTube, and A Cloud Guru was the most affordable course that I could take. So I went through that, and I think it took me about 3.5, 4 months of preparation. And then I sat in the exam and I became certified.
Wow, that's a great story. And I love the fact that that person gave you some guidance and that when you did your research, you were intimidated, but you didn't let it overcome you.
No, I read over hundreds of blogs and articles, because every article I read, they were all professionals. Like they have been in the industry since the past like 10 years or more than 5 years. So I was a little intimidated because they had experience and then they got certified. And when I was looking into this, I had no experience. And even till date, you know, I haven't really worked with the cloud on apart, like professionally. I've done it as a, you know, as a passion. I opened an AWS account and I did this all by myself, but I haven't done it professionally. And there's really a difference when you do it professionally, because certifications are much easier to acquire when you have the professional experience.
Yeah, and what it does though for you is really helps you when you see. Here's the thing: when somebody hires you, right? Because you're going to get a really great job when you get out of school, and but when they look at your resume, they're going to say, "Wow, you know, she's made the initiative. We could actually use her. She's going to hit the ground running when
Mhm.
she gets into her role, and we're not going to have to teach her as much." As
Right.
we would somebody coming in without that certification.
Right.
That's the difference, right? Because employers today, you know, it's tough to, especially the startup, you know, I'm a startup, I run 2 startups. and
Mhm.
and when you bring on people, you know, you need them to be able to execute right away, right?
Right.
And so, you know, and what we see a lot of times, and this is why we do what we do, is that, you know, we hear all the time from employers is that I got to find resources that can just, you know, execute and drive business value right away, because they're not in a position to wait for you to get up to speed and pay for you to do that, right?
Right.
So you've just stood out to them to say, wow, she made the investment for us.
Mhm.
So we can now leverage her in a better way, which is why you'll get selected over somebody else.
Yeah, but I am very thankful to AWS, especially AWS Educate Team, for recognizing that, because I went to the Amazon Web Services Public Sector Summit in June, and I was on a panel there as a speaker, and that's where I really got recognized. And I was able to be a keynote speaker at one of their events, well, sorry, one of the conferences. And I think being at the right place at the right time, interacting with the right people at the right time is definitely key to success. And in addition to hard work, of course.
Yep. So were you at the one in DC this past few months ago?
Yes, I was in DC. This was in June.
Yeah, the public sector in
Yes.
June. So
Yes.
I heard you speak.
You did?
You were on a panel with a bunch of young adults, and they each talked about their career journey.
Yeah, but and I was only girl there.
Yeah, and you were the only female.
Yeah, I was the
I
only
was in the
female.
audience, so I was there. I was in the audience,
Really?
and I didn't even make that connection until now.
Wow, that's small world.
Yeah, it is. I was there because we're now an AWS Academy. And so
Oh,
our instructors are all now accredited instructors to teach this content. So we're one of the few that's able to do this that's not a traditional university.
interesting.
So, yep. So Nebula Academy is an AWS Academy. And that's partly why we're doing this call, because we want to show, the students out there that might come to our classes that this is possible, that they can get this certification and they can blend it with their degree. And we're also working with universities who don't have the capacity to bring this to their organization by helping them and by having them utilize our instructors to do that.
Absolutely. I think that's the great thing about AWS is that recently, I'm not sure if you've heard, but so they have associate and professional levels of the certification, right?
Yep.
So previously, I don't remember the exact time, but at least like the last time I checked their website, to have the professional certification, you have to have the associate. But now recently, they waived that off. Even if you don't have the associate, you can still take the professional certification. And I think this really opens doors for a lot of um, ambitious people, because sometimes, like for example, usually the path to AWS is starting off with the cloud, the first level
Cloud
certification.
practitioner, the
Yes,
cloud
cloud
practitioner.
practitioner,
Yep.
right? And then you walk yourself up. But I didn't want to take that traditional route. I just wanted to, take up the challenge and see if I could do it. So I think that's the great thing about AWS is that they're really opening opportunities for many young children, and who are the future of tomorrow.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. And that's why we're a partner of theirs. We agree.
Yeah,
And they're an amazing partner. My instructors are always just really excited about the content and impressed with the content that
right.
they have developed for us to deliver and to teach.
Absolutely.
So super exciting. I guess we talked a little bit about it, but kind of what was what made you get the certification in AWS? Can you speak to that a little
Yeah.
bit?
I mean, so like I said, I was so interested in standing out from the crowd, especially, first of all, I was really scared that I would not get a job, because, there are all these amazing people in my classrooms, and I was just scared that, how will I stand out? Like, how will I make sure my resume is looked at? So I used to go to all these career events, and luckily at the career event that I honestly had no hope of, just coming across something so great. I met this professional, and I think that really definitely changed my career trajectory. So I would say that was really a turning point. And what really made me is honestly just to stand out from the crowd when I'm applying for jobs.
Okay,
That's really the motivation. Yeah.
excellent. So what do you think the future of cloud technologies is?
Oh, the future of cloud. That's a really hard question, because the future is cloud, and if you think about it, we started using cloud like many years ago without even realizing, like Dropbox, Google Drive, all these are cloud that we use every day. So just imagine if we're able to store things. These days, businesses are able to run just being on cloud. So just imagine tomorrow how many great things we can do with cloud. Like my vision is to make sure products are available within a blink of an eye. Today, that's very rare to find because everything takes time. I mean, everything is developed in a certain format, in a certain way. But soon, I want to make it readily available. I think if you think about the development cycle, right, developers and then production and release, this took a long time to happen a couple of years ago, but now Jenkins is there to automate these things. Now just imagine, with the help of cloud, we can definitely get to a point in life where we don't even have to wait anymore. We don't have to rely on people. Cloud will do it. But I'm not saying that we're not going to have jobs. That's not what I'm saying at all, because people will still have jobs, because someone has to do this. Someone has to sit in front of a screen and, click that automate button, write that code, or, put those resources together. And that is why these certifications are important, because they help train you from an early start in your career. And when you're at a point when you get a job, you'll, like you said earlier, you can just jump right in. You don't need to have that training, not a lot of training. And I think a lot of people get scared that robots are taking away our jobs and this and that, but if you just really think about it, someone is sitting there building those robots, and that needs skill. Someone is there repairing those robots. That's another job. Someone is there keeping an eye on those robots and making sure they're not causing any, damages to other people or anything like that. So all these are creating jobs. It's just putting the right resource into your career, or the right certification or right skills into your career, that makes you qualify for that next big thing.
Yep. And so it's a higher level of thinking we're asking this next generation to have.
Yeah.
And that's really what we teach, is teaching those critical thinking skills and those computational thinking skills, and understanding how to use the technology in the workforce today. Because you're right, students have to have that higher level thinking capabilities in order to sustain in these future careers. So fantastic. So, was there any motivation there to do this to minimize the gap of women in tech? And
I'm
talk,
a
I guess you
big
could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of women in tech. I think personally, since childhood, I've always wanted to become a speaker, but early on, I've never had that. I was an introvert, to put it simply. I was an introvert, but I came out of that through, high school and early college. But I always felt, being a minority especially, I knew the challenges, and being a woman especially, I know the challenges, and I still know the challenges. And I think the best way to come about that is to put both women and men in the same room and talk about it, not women separately and men separately. Because I think when you're putting a bunch of women in one room, you are empowering them, but you're not creating any awareness to the men, because both of them have to hear it, right? I mean, women have great insight to share, great things that they want to do in life, but it's the other person also has to understand that perspective. And personally, I've never faced any challenges. Like, everyone I came across in my life has been very supportive, regardless of men or women. But I do hear a lot of stories, and they are very, it sounds very sad, but I think the only way to come about this is, to share the feelings with the men, because maybe they don't understand, because we think differently. Like, there was a YouTube video that I came across a couple of years ago, where the guy, I think it was a TED talk. The guy basically explains how a woman thinks and how a man thinks, right? And it's very different, because a man just thinks in a straight line, but a woman connects so many dots that don't even need to be connected. So we overanalyze things. It's because we're very conscious about what we do and what we are, and that's why we're so creative sometimes. And I think it's very important to also share our feelings with men, just so that they're also able to understand, because it's all about communication. At the end of the day, if you're not a good communicator, you're not going to get a job. So, and I think to create this awareness for women in STEM, and make sure women are also pursuing those STEM fields, men also have to understand and learn that, these are the feelings of women, and this is how they feel, and this is how they want things to be heard. Because sometimes as women, we have a certain way that we want to hear things, sometimes sugar coated, sometimes blunt, but in a way where we can understand, not just be heard. So I honestly had no intention personally behind women in tech, but I wanted to stand out, like I said, and be a trendsetter. So I want to prove that other women can do this. It's just a matter of, making that choice in your mind and following it through, irrelevant of what obstacles you come across.
Yeah. So I want to go back to what you said about, teaching women or having women learning, and but with all women, and or having men separated from women in the learning
Mhm.
experience. And so I just loved when I heard you say that, because it resonated with me. So just a little background on our not-for-profit organization and what we do. So when I first started the organization, I took this program at Harvard, and this was my project to create this organization. And I was originally looking at doing it as just an all-girls program. And one of the women that I was in my class was from Canada, and she said to me, you people in the U.S., you put people in buckets all the time. Why are you doing this just for girls? And it totally turned my head. in a different direction where I said, how do I teach that to girls? How do I teach the value of diversity in a team? So we totally changed the model of the organization to really have it be an organization that teaches the value of diversity. And so what we do is every program we deliver is blended with half girls, half boys, and half kids from social economic backgrounds that vary.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening there is that we've got girls and guys working together from all different cultural backgrounds in this big melting pot. And we do this when they work in teams, they don't get to pick their teams. We blend the teams. And what we've found over the last 7 years of doing that is that every time we have a program, the more diverse the genders are and more diverse the backgrounds are, the better the products and projects the students produce. And it's amazing. So I love the fact that you shared that, and I think you're spot on. You know, you want women to be successful in a dominantly male position. They've got to learn how to work together, and having them work with other women together in a learning experience doesn't help them do that.
Absolutely. And
So
we're taught about diversity and working together, and putting the same kind of people in one room does not help us come across that. So
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So fantastic. We're both on the same page from a women's, perspective and the value of having everybody learning how to work together, both guys and girls, right?
yeah.
How were you able to accomplish getting this done? Was there anybody that helped you along the way? Were any resources that you would want to stand out that you used to kind of get you through this?
I never had a person because, like I said, George Mason University at that time did not offer cloud courses, but now they are.
Oh, excellent.
Recently, AWS and George Mason partnered together, and they will be launching their cloud curriculum. I believe they start this fall or next fall.
Excellent. Yeah. So it's a very new program. You know, we're one of the first ones to take it on. We're, starting some programs this December with a few universities. So glad to hear that they're doing that.
Yeah, but going back to your question, I think a Cloud Guru was definitely the biggest resource, and obviously the documentation and the white papers on their website are 75% like preparation resources for the certification. The white papers, documentation, FAQs, and what else? The book. Definitely, those have the hands-on labs, so they really help you understand what really you're doing with those, with the material you're studying. So, and on top of that, A Cloud Guru, which helps bring in another perspective and another resource of analyzing information. So all those together, I think, are perfect.
So how did you balance this with going to college and doing the certification?
Yeah, that's why it took me like 3-4 months because I was only putting in like 3 hours per week, or not 3 hours, but like maybe like 4 to 5 hours per week, not more, just because I was taking 15 credits at that time and they were all higher level classes. So 3 to 4 hours per week for about 3.5 months, I think.
Perfect. So 3.5 months, you kind of spread out the time, which is ideal, right? And this is what we're trying to help universities see. So this is great feedback. So you were able to do this, with a 3 or 4 hour a week study program and kind of spread it over a quarter.
And there were times where I did not study at all, just because everything that was going on was so much, like, it was very hectic, because I also teach at the Hindu Center, so that also took up a lot of my time, because every weekend I teach for 3 hours.
So tell me about that. I want to hear about what you're doing from a teaching perspective.
Yeah, so I come from a family of educators. So my grandfather was a math teacher. My mom was a math teacher. My mom is a math teacher. So I did not want to take teaching up as my career, because that's my passion, and I wanted my career to be something else. And I think it's so cliche to say this, but it's really in my blood, and I think I love teaching. And and at the Hindu Center, which is my own community, I wanted to give back. So I came across an opportunity, and one of my family friends asked me, saying, would you like to teach? And I said, of course. And so I drive to Richmond every weekend and go there and teach.
Excellent. And you know what? The teaching even if you don't become a teacher, a good leader teaches.
Yes.
So it's, huge value for you to do that. And it's a great way to give back to your community. So kudos to you for taking that on as well.
And I think the biggest challenge is differentiating your career and your passions.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes I feel like I still can't answer that question correctly, but yeah, definitely differentiating your career and your passions it's the key to success.
Absolutely. So what are the next steps for you now that you've gained this certification and you're about to graduate college? What are you going to do?
Yeah, so this summer I worked at Gannett USA Today, and I'm still working. I worked summer full-time and now I'm working part-time. And I think that was something, it was my first corporate experience. So I worked as a front-end developer, and I did back-end though, a lot of back-end. And I really want to put my certification to use now, just because I really want to get that hands-on corporate experience with my certification. Because a job as a developer is much different from a job as a solutions architect for the cloud.
Absolutely.
So, and I really want to try that role. So my goal is really to get a job as a solutions architect or something with the cloud. So
Great.
that's my goal.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great, because you're going to leverage that certification in your career,
I
which is,
want to.
yeah, no, that's fantastic. And what'll start to happen as you do that is you'll build that deeper competency in all of these things that you've got a really good, strong foundation in now.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah. So any remarks or anything you want to add about the certifications, or anything we haven't shared today that you wanted to share with the listeners?
I think all I want to say, especially if there are any young girls or women watching this, if there is any discouragement that is stopping you to go into the STEM field, maybe it could be that you're not able to take care of kids while you're working or whatnot. I think there are a lot of companies that offer work from home many times a week, and there's some jobs that even help you with, like, having kids and also doing the job that's necessary. So I think it's all about being good at what you do and proving that you are. And when you do that, no company will say no to the other requirements that you have. So I think definitely women definitely need to, if this is because for most women that at least that I've come across in my life, that's what has stopped them, and I think that should not be a roadblocker.
Yeah, so I'll share a little bit about me that relates to that before we wrap. So I got married really young.
Yeah.
And had kids right after that, because I grew up in a very rural, small town upstate New York. And so I wasn't, I didn't know what I wanted to do and had no desire to go to college. And I really was brought up in a community where most of the kids my age got married and had kids. And so I took that path, and then kind of fell into technology as a kind of accidentally. And when I started really loving technology and wanted to go back to school, I had, a small child and I couldn't do it. So I started going after certifications. And this was a day when certifications were this was in the early 80s. So I built my entire career on certifications. So I have, yeah, if you remember the Novell, if you've ever heard that name, that was pre-Microsoft. So that was
Okay.
So Novell was the leading network industry software platform before Microsoft servers came out. And so I was certified in that, and I collected certifications, let's just say. And every time I got a new certification, I increased my salary. And so just a different path, and then ended up going to Harvard. And so for me, this whole circle that's kind of coming back here for people and getting their certifications is exciting for me to see. And I personally know how valuable certifications can be for a mom who is trying to find a path for herself and can't really take that full-time college path, but can do independent study to get a certification. And that's the kind of path that I took. And I ended up actually becoming an instructor and teaching this stuff. I was a certified instructor. So just like we're doing today with the certified, accredited instructors at our facility, we're doing the same thing. So it's kind of full circle for me. So exciting. Thank you so much for joining us, Dolica, today. We're super excited to have you, and it's just small world that I had seen you in person, and hope to meet you again in the future at some AWS event. Hopefully, we'll stay connected via Twitter,
Yeah.
and you can follow us. Of course, you can follow me at LJ Coach,
Mm,
and Nebula Academy is also has its own NY Nebula Academy,
mm,
and also people that are listening, you can find us at nebulaacademy.com. So please check out our website. We'll be following up with a blog on this. So we look forward to those listeners to keep following us and keep hearing about other students like Dolica who are taking on this challenge and really differentiating themselves out there in the workforce. So have a great day, and we look forward to having everybody back again on From Paper to Offer.